Hey there, it's Jamie and welcome back. This is going to be our second analysis video in our Zappos project. So you did the scraping, you exported the data, you cleaned it, and then you did your first set of pivot tables, or your first pivot table where you were able to compare big differences across brands with one image. So next we're going to kind of hone in using different charts. We're going to make column charts, which is a great way to look at differences in levels by brands. These are sort of like column charts, but we're going to hone in on some of the things that are more interesting, and we'll be able to see kind of brand by brand how they compare. So I'm going to make a new tab and I'm going to call it A2. And then I'm going to insert a insert a text box. And I'm just going to copy our instructions. So our instructions simply ask us to use pivot charts to create the following column charts. So price by brand, overall rating, comfort rating, and style rating all on one chart by brand. True to width and true to style percentages by brand all on one chart. So this is asking for 3 charts, right? I want 3 charts. One that shows price by brand, one that includes overall rating, comfort rating, and style rating by brand, and then a true to width and true to style. Of course, it says see videos for notes on formatting, so that's coming. And then insert a text box and comment on the relationships or patterns that you see. So we're going to do all of this in our A2 tab because it's the second part of our analysis. All right, so to get our pivot chart in here, it'll be a little bit like doing our pivot table. We're in our data on our tab 2, our cleaned data, and we're going to go to insert. And before we chose a pivot table, this time we're going to choose a pivot chart. If you don't have a pivot chart on your Excel, you're going to have to do a pivot table and then highlight all your data and insert your chart. I can probably do that as an example on the final one just to show you how to do it. So we're going to choose pivot chart. It knows first select the table or the range, and this time where do we want it? Well, we've already made A2. So rather than just letting it randomly place it in a new worksheet, we're going to say existing worksheet. And we want it right here in cell A1. Okay, there we go. Our pivot table is going to appear here, and our chart is going to appear here. So look at how price varies by brand. So we want our value to be price, and we want each brand to have its own column. So we're going to take brand into our categories or rows, same as we did before. And then we're going to take price into values. And this makes us a column chart, giving us the price for each shoe. Issue is that we've got, again, sum of price when what we want is average. So we need to make sure to change this to average instead of to sum. Okay, let's address some formatting. First off, it doesn't need to be average of price, it can just be average price. We want all dollars and cents to be expressed as either currency or accounting and rounded to 2 decimal places. We want to remove our grand totals unless there's some reason we need them. And all charts get a few important pieces. Every chart gets a title. So this is average price by brand. If we're only having one thing plotted, in this case price, this is our legend and we don't want it. Then we want to label all of our axes, right? This is shoe price, average shoe price, and this is brand. I would say typically, if you're only plotting one thing and it's average shoe price by brand, it's this obvious, you wouldn't need to label your axes, but I want you to practice doing it. And so under chart design for chart element, We're going to scroll down. We want to label our axes, primary horizontal and primary vertical. If you're on a PC, it's much easier because you do it in one stop, and this is average price, and this is brand. Also, these horizontal lines are non-data ink. It's something that we would look at, but it doesn't really tell us much. If you want to know the exact price, you want to look at a table. This is just to let us see the relationship. Who ranks the highest, who ranks the lowest. And then alphabetically is how it gives us initially, and alphabetically is almost never the best way to sort a chart. So under row labels, we're going to sort by price, and let's sort descending. One funny thing is that sometimes if you sort descending, the chart then goes ascending, but it didn't do it now. Okay, that's our first chart. Average shoe price by brand. Check. So our next chart is going to show overall rating, comfort rating, and style rating by brand. So we'll do the same as we did before. We go back to our data. We click in a box. We say data. No, sorry, we say insert. Just kidding. We want a pivot chart. There's our table or range. It knows automatically. We want to place it in the same sheet as before, but right below. Boom, there we go. Overall rating, comfort rating, and style rating by brand. Again, brand is going to go down to our axis categories. And then we are going to take our ratings, overall, comfort, and style. We'll place it down here. And then let's address some formatting things. Well, of course, we've got some, and we don't want some, we want average. We're going to call this overall, comfort, style. We're going to format these as numbers with 2 decimal places. I'm going to remove the grand totals. There we go. Now we have a tidy little chart. And now we're going to make some changes. We are going to remove these grid lines, and we are going to add our chart title above the chart. This is going to be average rating by brand. And then we're going to do some axis titles horizontal, axis titles vertical. This is going to be average star rating. And this is going to be brand. Okay, formatting counts, and it's important. So take a look and make sure that whatever you chose for your capitalization convention in your titles matches. So here I've used title case in my titles, and I've used sentence case on my axis. Be consistent. That's the thing that matters. This one is looking a little crowded. It needs to be a slightly wider chart so that we can really see the space between the brands or the types of charts. And then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to sort by, I'm going to try a few different ways. I can sort by overall rating. So we see our topo with the highest overall rating, then A6 with next, and it kind of heads downward. And that seems like a reasonable way to sort this data, because overall rating is the thing that we're most interested in. I'm going to make this a little taller. And we can see a slow, kind of gradual decline as we go across brands. For the most part, it appears to me that comfort is where each brand is most likely to be the lowest. So I'm going to move comfort, which I can move, just by dragging it. Did you see that? So if you want to change the order of things in a pivot table, you can grab them, or click on the title you want to move and hover over the corner till it turns into a little hand, and then you can move it. That would place the style rating first. I really like having overall rating first because that's the thing that we're most interested in, and I think it's the thing that customers look at first. So we can see that shoes with a high overall rating seem to have a pretty good style rating. They also seem to have a pretty good comfort rating. What if we sorted just interestingly by comfort rating? How would that look? We still see a general pattern of descending across brands. Let's leave it by overall. Brands seem to be fairly clustered, but it doesn't appear to be perfect. Topo Athletic and Asics have the highest overall ratings. New Balance, Ultra, New Balance, and Adidas have the lowest. And then our last one is looking at percentages of true to width and true to size by brand. So how are these sized? Again, so I'm going to do this one like a pivot table and then insert the chart after for those of you who don't have pivot charts. If you have a pivot chart, go for it like normal. It's easier. So I'm going to go pivot table, existing worksheet. I'm going to place it here. Scroll down. I'm going to take brand to rows, true to size, true to width. I don't want sum, I want average. Don't want sum, I want average. These are percentages. We'll give them 1 decimal place. I'm going to remove the grand totals. And there's our chart. This is average true to size, and this is average true to width. Okay, so how would I graph this? I would highlight it, go to insert, and then I would see if there was a recommended chart. It doesn't give me any, but let's take a look at our 2-dimensional columns. Never use a 3-dimensional chart if a 2-dimensional chart would do. And then here we've got it. So actually, this takes up a lot of space. Average true to size and average true to width. And TTW and TTS is maybe not the easiest thing for somebody to interpret if they're just looking at this chart. I'm going to make it wider. I'm going to remove the grid lines. I'm going to add a title. Then I'm going to add axis titles or axis labels if you're on a PC. Percent rating. And this is brand. Percent of customers reporting accurate fit by brand. Average across models. No, that's fine. And then again, let's come down here and let's sort by true to size, descending. There we go. Okay. So what does this tell us? And what does it give us that we maybe didn't have before? I'm going to pull this out of the way. I'm going to line these 3 things up. And here, if we're trying to compare different brands of shoes, we can see them ordered highest to lowest across price, ratings, 3 types of ratings, and fit. So here's what I might say about this. Again, we can see that Mizuno and Hoka are kind of the highest priced, then there's a little drop, and then Topo and On, and then a little drop, and then Ultra and a little drop, and then Brooks, Saucony, Asics, New Balance are all kind of the same, and then Adidas, Skechers, and Under Armour are kind of our low-priced shoes. Overall, Topo and Asics seem to have the highest ratings by brand, and Topo's a sort of upper priced shoe and Asics is kind of a mid to low price shoe, but they still have really good ratings. And Topo and Asics both also have real good ratings for fit. So in terms of being rated well and being the right size, Topo and Asics seem to be your top contenders. Although if we were to organize this by comfort or style, we might see something slightly different, right? But to me, this seems like overall these charts show that Mizuno and Hoka, maybe I don't want to phrase it like that. How would I phrase this? And that font is way too small for you guys to see anything, so I'd like to zoom in, but well, I can kind of see, and maybe now you can see better. So how would I describe this? Mizuno and Hoka are the most expensive brands of shoes, but neither rate in the top 3 for overall rating or fit. Asics and Topo, ASICS, and Topo Athletic receive the highest ratings, overall ratings, and true to size ratings, indicating that on average they are, what would we say, are they most preferred? But no, I don't want to go there. That on average, overall ratings and receive the highest overall ratings and true to size ratings. These high scoring brands are mid-priced shoes. You let me call Topo a mid-priced shoe. It's the 3rd highest, close to On. Topo Athletic is the 3rd highest priced shoe. And Asics, ASICS, is among the lower priced brands, ranking 4th from the bottom on price. God, how did I do? That's like pretty mediocre. I think Under Armour is interesting because it's our 3rd highest rated shoe and it's also our lowest price. And if we go and rank by true to width, we're going to get Under Armour being the best fitting size by width. And so Under Armour is definitely worth a mention. Under Armour deserves a mention for being both low priced and highly rated. It's the lowest priced shoe in our sample. Lowest priced brand in our sample. But ranks 3rd for overall rating And first, for being true to width. There's a discussion of brands across those 3 variables. You would use your own words to describe the women's shoes, but you get the idea of what I'm looking for. Not a whole lot of text, but just an analysis of what we see. All right, I hope that helps. Happy calculating. Let me know if you have any questions.